This video is to show how to set up scale for CAD drawings. Civil 3D Intellicad doesn't matter as long as it says as .dwg and you're doing site work where you're looking at property size. Your pages are showing properties, not like mechanical objects. Relatively big stuff that we show in AutoCAD. For that to look right when we work on it and to print right, that's the thing to understand. In AutoCAD, you can make scale look a certain way, but then it prints a different way. So let me explain that step first. So I've got a line in the drawing here. It's 100 feet long. It's set to hidden, which should look like that, but it's looking like a continuous line. So the first thing I'll check is this command msltscale. Just enter it, and you want that set to 1. You don't want that turned off. If you have this turned off, when you're working in Civil 3D, all of your annotations will be tiny. You won't be able to see them. I don't really have any issue in Intellicad, but Civil 3D definitely. If you have this msltscale set to turn off, you'll have a lot of issue. The next variable I check is LT-scale, and that needs to be set to 1. So msltscale set to 1, LT-scale set to 1. All of these commands, I'm typing them in modelspace. And we'll talk about the tabs in Paperspace in a bit. So if you look over at the bottom of your CAD window, you'll see this annotation scale right here. If you select those, it gives you options. So let's use the 40 scale. And a lot of times when you make changes like this, when you're trying to get your scale down, you've got to use type regen a lot. I usually make a change and then type regen. So by changing the annotation scale right here, we're now starting to get our line type looking more correct. So let's, just to show, we'll change it to 20. And note, nothing changed. Type regen. And the spacing got closer. Whenever you plot, all this gets sorted out. But as you're working on the drawing in modelspace, if you have it set up correctly, most people have, if you have it set up correctly and you don't change the scale, it's going to look like pretty much that everywhere. No hidden lines, just but once you turn msltscale on, you can come here and set up the scale that you're working. I'll do another regen. And note, it's not going to print. This isn't going to affect how it prints. It just affects how it appears in modelspace. So to set up sheets, we always set our sheets up in Paperspace. So let me go to Paperspace tab. Let's use example. And once you go into Paperspace, the first command you want to type is msltscale. And note it's set to 0, which is off. I'm going to turn it on by hitting 1. So now, just like the msltscale in modelspace, this has the same effect. If this is turned off, it ignores our predefined scales. So I turn that on, and note you have to turn it on each tab. The other variables you set one time, these you set per tab. So the next thing we need here is just, I'm going to create a window. And that shows my drawing. And you can double click into this, zoom in and out. But what I do is I zoom it to where it's centered, and then I select the viewport. And right here, where it says standard scale, I set the scale there. And sometimes the annotation scale will change with it, but you want these two to match. And then do a region. That's pretty much the way this is supposed to look in terms of the hidden line spacing. But until I did the regen, we didn't see it. So if I come here now and select this, let's go to a 20. Again, the regen. So the way it works is if you measure the space in between that makes up this line type, it's going to be the same on a 40 scale plot as it is on a 20 scale plot because of the way the system works. You adjust your line type to a scale, and then you process it at a scale, and all this sorts out. If you've got one set up and it's not working, it's usually a PSLT scale issue. So I turned PSLT scale off and lost the line. Turn it back on. So what I've noticed quite a bit is a lot of people don't know these rules, and they'll have a line that the line type's just not working out for them. It's not looking right. So the way they'll come in here and they'll start adjusting the scale. So of that, just that entity. So if I go to 10, I lose my line completely. Let's go to 0.5. So for that one line, I can change the scale of it, but you don't want to do that. And I think the main reason that it has been done this way is because of topo. People will get a survey in, they don't know about the MSLT scale and setting up standard scales. So let's turn that off, the MSLT scale. So they'll look at, and they'll see a lot of, I don't have any, my scales aren't looking right. So let's change it. Let's see if I can make it appear by changing just the scale of the line type. And yes, you can. So people tend to set the contour line scale to 10 because they're not setting the drawing up correctly. And when they're looking at it, they think, well, this isn't correct. But if you turn MSLT scale on, do a regen, and just for Civil 3D, it's a little tricky to change. The scaling and stuff is built into a style But if you select the surface and open up a thing called Prospector, actually I select a surface, and then I go to the style, and then edit, right here. A lot of times this will be 10. This one will be 10. If you set the drawing up the way I showed, you don't have to do that. And I just changed that there to show that that gives issue when the drawing's set up correctly. Having those set to 10 actually causes issue. But if we was to turn msltscale off and do a regen, then it looks correct. So that's pretty much why that happens. But just to review, it doesn't matter if it's a new drawing or a drawing somebody's given you. In modelspace, msltscale, set that to 1. Scale list edit, type that command and add the standard scales you plan to use on the project. And then in paperspace, psltscale turned on. And then you set your scale in your viewport here. So we've got annotation scale, standard scale. Do a regen. Let me go back and change the surface back. Let's see, that looks right. That looks right. Everything looks right. When I'm in model space, it looks right. The line type on these lines is 1. It's looking correct. If, let's say I've got a big project in there, I've got a lot of 30 scale sheets and a lot of 50 scales, I'll just come here and change this 50 to that sheet scale just so it looks different. That's the only thing that changes, is the way it looks. Just lastly, and I think this is correct, if we was to plot out of model space, and we set up a scale here, let's see what happens. Oh, okay. I need a plotter set. So that's printing it at 40 scale. And that's 20. That's really an old way of using CAD. Originally, CAD didn't have paper space. It had one. Originally, didn't have, all you had was model space, and you put your title blocks in model space just like the surveyor does. If you're just doing one sheet projects, that's the way to go a lot of times. But we have multi-sheets, so we use paper space tabs. So I hope that helps. I've probably been asked how to do this over 100 times in training people. Uh, it's very rare that I ever go into an office where this is known and set up, and it really can drive you crazy um, because you'll make a change, you'll think it's good, but you didn't talk regen. So then when you got a plot, it doesn't look like it did in the plans. That sort of stuff. This eliminates that completely. I hope it helps.